Hi folks, and welcome back to the tree quilt, this time part 4, and we will be putting the finished top part of the quilt sandwiched onto the batting and the backing and getting it onto the frame. Okie dokie, so here you can see I've got the quilt sandwiched on the floor. I'm not showing you actually how I do it because it took a long time, and you don't need to see me crawling around getting this done. So I started off with the backing fabric face down on the floor, and I went around with, you can see the blue tape there, that's painter's tape so I don't wreck the floor, and just kind of started in the middle top, the middle bottom, not pulled it super tight but just enough so that it's flat, and then did the same from the sides, and then just kind of filled in all the blanks. So you're starting in the middle and you're working your way out. Then after that, I did the exact same thing with the batting in the middle, and then again with the quilt top. After that, I went around with these quilting safety pins and just kind of tacked everything together, making sure I went all the way through to the bottom, and tried to do that evenly around. Again, not pulling anything too tight, but just making sure everything is stuck together.
Okay, hi folks, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you essentially how I got the quilt on the frame. Still doing the tree quilt. As you can see, I've already, maybe you can't see, but I've already been doing some quilting here, and it's time for me to shuffle things along. So I'm going to show you how I do that, move things along on here, and it's, you know, pretty similar to how I got the quilt on in the first place. So since I didn't video that part, you can see this part. Pretty much the same thing. So these are quilt clips, which are really handy to keep the excess off the floor. Oh, there they go. So this is a frame that I got from Joann's, I think. And I've seen where you can actually make your own out of PVC tubes, like plumbing and stuff, if you go to Home Depot or wherever. And I haven't done that. I just, bought the thing, but it is possible to make your own. So you'll see that I've got some big safety pins along the way. These are quilting safety pins, and I really, really like them. You can see they've got a bend in them, so when they're going through fabric, the fabric stays straight and the bend is, in the pin, as opposed to if it's a straight safety pin, then the fabric has to bend around that. So these are a good thing. Also because traditionally you'd have to baste, which is, big stitches all the way through, like every 4 inches, and nope, don't have the patience for that. Okay, so I've done to about here. I want there to be a little overlap because sewing right at the bars is not great. So I'm just going to shuffle this down a little bit. So right here is where I stopped sewing before. So that's where I'm going to pick up now. So I started, actually I could probably show you this. So I started in the very center of the quilt. So what you want to do, start in the center and then work all the way down or all the way up, and then move on to the next kind of side. So you're kind of branching out from the center. Okie dokie. So let's go back to what I was doing. Shuffling this along. I used a really thick batting, so when I'm quilting, I'm not going to be able to just do running stitches like if it was a thinner batting. So I have to kind of go straight up, straight down. So it does take a little bit more time, but I think the stitching looks nicer. Okay, so on here I can probably shuffle it down a bit more. Okay. Alrighty, so one thing about the pins is you have to keep an eye out for them. You don't want to trap them underneath one of these guys. So I got one in. So yeah, you see here there's a bunch of pins right where I'd want to put this. So you just move them. Where do I not put you? Yeah, how about here? So again, you make sure that things are not super tight, but I don't know, it's like anything with a tension, you just kind of get the feel, right? You don't want the top and the bottom to shift against each other. You want everyone to stay together, all nice and happy. There we go. Oh, also they do make, you can see there's smaller pins, bigger pins. I have even smaller pins than that. They do come in different sizes. So whatever works for you, really. When you put it down, you can adjust the tension on it. If you roll it in, that makes it loose. You roll it out, that makes it tighter. Not sure if I need to move these guys. Oh, this looks a little wonky. What's going on there? What are we doing? All right, what's going on here? That does not look as smooth as I want it to be. Oh, you know what? I think right here it was just the seam kind of wiggled over a little bit. So there's just kind of this overlap or this little flappy bit. But once I sew along there, it'll tack that down and knock on wood, should be all right. Okay, so that's all good. So now we just need to tack up this stuff. The one at the back is going to be problematic, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Okay, so we just roll this along, and when there isn't that much to roll up, you can actually clip it right onto here, which I like to do because it holds it nice and tight. If you can't clip it onto these things, then it has the tendency to kind of flop down. Okay. Okie dokie. So this is a longer one than the other side, which means I didn't find the middle very well before. But that's okay. It's all good. Yeah, now that's cutting it close. It's not really wanting to clip on. There. Yeah, so it's just going to hold it as it is and hopefully be happy. Okay, now for here, because this is not much to roll around. I kind of like to hold this in, and it just helps that corner not look like a big nasty mess. Come on, you can do it. Hey, oh. Well, there it is. Okay. Now, here we have a whole lot. So for this, we're just gonna have to do the best that we can. I'll be happy if I can just keep it off the floor, keep it so the cats aren't gonna pee on it. And I might need to actually use one of those safety pins to help hold things up. I'm a bit leery to doing that because it might be a lot of weight. And those safety pins do have, they're fairly big gauge to them. And I don't want to make holes. Oh, I could maybe put a safety pin in and then have this hook onto that. Although then that weight's going to be transferred onto this. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure if it does make a hole, as long as it doesn't rip any threads, then it'll all come out in the wash. And that's fine. I don't think this is going to last very well. If you guys have any tips or tricks on how to make this last better, let me know. Here's my last one of these. Well, okay. It is what it is. It's fine. It's all good. Okay. Okay, that's gonna undo itself, but we'll deal with that when it happens. Okay. So here we are. These are just regular lamps, just regular floor lamps that I've put hot lights in. That just, good light, clear light, shows me all the colors well, also helps when it's all winter. So normally, I think people use quilting thread, often one color all the way through, and it's kind of like a matte kind of thread, like a cotton thread. I'm not going to do that. So what I've done is I've gone through all of my polyester machine embroidery thread, and I've chosen colors that I think most match the fabrics that I have. Okay, so what I've done, I've made choices on threads that I think best match what's going on. Different fabrics here. As you can see, these are kind of shiny threads, polyester machine embroidery thread. And this is stuff that I get from Thread Art, which I'm really, really happy with. It's the same stuff, the same brand that I use to sew everything together for the most part. I'm really, really happy with this stuff. I've done textiles on sewing machine, and very rarely have I had a break with this stuff. It's nice and smooth. It's nice to work with. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so we're going to do some quilting now.